I can't really remember, like, a whole lot about my childhood, because I guess people don't really realize they have a body for a really long time. But I do remember, like, being comfortable in my body and, like, always thinking that my hair was really pretty. And I remember my mom telling me I was beautiful a lot, but also talking about her Haldeman thighs, which was, like, apparently all the women in her family had really large thighs, so I was always kind of frightened of that. And then I remember in 4th grade being in a dressing room at Old Navy, and my mom saying that she wanted to buy me a bra because she noticed that I needed one. And then shortly after that, I guess like 2 years later, my mom passed away of colon cancer. So that was like a really confusing time. And it probably would have been really helpful throughout puberty to have her there to guide me through that time in my life. But she passed away like right when I was going into puberty, so it was like kind of all a mix of like hormones and like figuring out my body without really like the guidance of my mom. And I have one really distinct memory from 7th grade when a boy named Bo came up to me in the lunchroom and said that Alex Schaefer liked my figure. And I just, like, didn't really know how to take that, but I was like, thank you, I guess. And then he came up again and he was like, Alex likes your boobs. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was, like, thoroughly confused, but also kind of, like, liked the attention, I guess. And then, within that same year, I had a friend who was always talking about, my boobs and her body, and like fishing for compliments and talking about like what she thought was wrong with her body. And I guess I didn't really think about it that often, and I was never really like obsessed with my weight or obsessed with what I was eating at that time. But like my friend Erin was talking about it constantly to the point where I kind of felt like something was maybe wrong with me, that I wasn't so concerned about that. But she was always like complimenting me, which kind of also made me feel awkward because I felt like I should compliment her back. But I was always like kind of the center of attention in my group of friends, and they were always like telling me that I was really pretty, so that was nice, but they were also always commenting on my boobs. And then like 3 or 4 years later, I dated this boy we had a relationship for like a year, and it was like really intense, but he was always like talking about my body and how much he liked my body, which was like a self-esteem boost, I guess. And he would always say that like if he could picture the perfect woman, it would have my body, which is kind of strange. Yet he was like really small and really skinny, so we didn't really fit together, but he was like always complimenting me that I felt like really comfortable in my body then. And then like a year after that, I went to college, and I spent my freshman year at Boston University. And I like had this meal plan where I had to eat in the dining hall all the time, and the food was like really bad and processed, and I gained a lot of weight. And I remember being like really shocked that I had stretch marks on my thighs. And I had 3 roommates who were really obsessed with food and working out, which kind of made me self-conscious because I didn't really work out that often. And at that point I kind of felt like I couldn't work out because my boobs were so large that it was like kind of uncomfortable. And around spring of that year, I came home and my dad, well, first he commented on my weight and said that he thought I was gaining weight. And then he later mentioned that if I wanted to get a breast reduction surgery, he would pay for it. So that was kind of strange. And initially I was like really opposed to it and thought that really wasn't what I wanted. But then I thought about it for a really long time, and I did a lot of research, and I decided that maybe that was something that I wanted. So we went and we got a consultation with a plastic surgeon, and it turned out that if I wanted to do it, insurance would cover it because they felt like it was like a health risk as far as like stopping me from exercising and like back pains in the future. So I thought about it for a long time, and I eventually decided to do it. And I guess it's been like a year and a few months now since I got the surgery. And when I got it, it was kind of fun because I was like on painkillers and all my friends visited me while I laid in bed. I was like really confident and really happy with my body after the surgery. And it's kind of weird because I came to it by like a sort of strange means. But it's definitely like made my self-esteem better and made me feel more confident and comfortable in my body. And since then I've also like developed better eating habits and I've started eating healthier. I was working at Trader Joe's for a while, so I was always eating their foods and like thinking about nutrition a lot more. And living with Laura, we like exercise a lot more and she's really good motivation for that. Then I've never really exercised that much, so that's great. So I've definitely like been taking care of my body more in the past year or two, and I think that the breast reduction surgery was kind of like the motivation I needed to do that. And I also like the way I look in clothes better and I'm more comfortable in clothes, so that's a bonus. But even though there was always like a lot of attention around my boobs, I always felt fairly comfortable in my body, and I was always like content with my body. I've always been like kind of self-conscious of my thighs because I feel like that's a point of interest that like you hear about in the media a lot. And my mom mentioned it. I don't know if that has something to do with it. But yeah, I guess that's it.